What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Stack. I'm Alex.
I'm Justin.
What's up? I'm Pete.
And on The Stack, we talk about a ton of books that are coming out today. We
Come on,
it's a big week. Exciting week. Lots of huge books coming out. So let's get into it without any delay with Absolute Wonder Woman number Absolution. When I said let's get right into it, I meant let's do bits first. Absolute Wonder Woman number 1 from DC Comics, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Hayden Sherman. This is the second book out of the Absolute line after Absolute Batman, which is an absolute blockbuster. We loved it. People were blown away by that book. We were at New York Comic Con this past weekend. It was a huge seller, huge lines at Nick Jagrota's table in particular. This also sold out, but I don't know about you guys going into this. You know, I like this team. I love Hayden Sherman, love Kelly Thompson, love everything they do. But I still had a little bit of my, I don't know. Like, I was a little hesitant. I was like, okay, you got one with that line. Let's see if we get two. Let's see what happens.
What is it, like a nervous bowel thing, you think?
Yeah, like I shot myself like
full
a
of
bunch
diarrhea.
of times.
Yeah,
tons of times.
He was rooster tailing when he picked this one up.
Oh my!
I think I like this better than Absolute Batman, and the reason I like this better than Absolute Batman is Absolute Batman had like the emotion there as well with Bruce's mom, but this hit me in the gut by the end of the issue.
Yes.
Beyond the fact, like, not enough could be said about Hayden Sherman's art in here.
Yes.
There's a sequence in the middle where we get Diana's revised origin story, literally going back to her birth, that is told through a series of single angle panels throughout her entire life as she grows up. It's like the beginning of Up. It's like other things that I can't think of.
Yes,
Love
the comic.
Got me. Loved this book.
It's so badass. It's so glorious. The art is just off the charts. It's unbelievable. This is just such a great comic. I feel a little bit hesitant to get too hyped because there's so many comics I'm going to get hyped for in this stack. I'm trying to
you can't be
save
too
my
hyped.
energies.
What do you have in you?
You got the pixie sticks. You got the pixie sticks I sent you, right? So you can like keep the energy going for like 3 to 4 hours.
Yeah, Pete, you're feeling your age. You can only get hyped like for 4 or 5 books at this point before you're just tuckered right out, right? You're just tuckered so far
man,
out.
we go hard, dude. We go for like an hour and change, bro. You know, I got to keep it up. Anyways,
you can't be hyped the whole time. I'll tell you what.
We'll find out. But like, as
I know exactly. I'm gonna think of a book. I'm gonna look down the list. I'm gonna think of the book in the head when you're gonna lose your energy, Pete. We'll see if I'm right when we get
okay.
Yes,
but as parents, you guys had to be freaking out in this issue. The part where they're like holding the baby upside down and then just letting a snake near. I was freaking the fuck out. Like, this was insane.
Nothing wrong with that.
I loved it.
It's called the snake test.
Oh, the baby snake test? Everybody does that? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
my bad.
baby
I don't have a
versus
baby.
You don't have kids.
I don't know these things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If baby can't beat snake, what's baby's chance at like getting into, off onto solid food?
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Nobody stakes baby in a quarter, right?
Nah.
Definitely.
But anyways, this was so well executed. Everything about it was glorious. This was just so awesome. Like, they are absolutely killing this with this new Absolute line.
Great word choice, Pete. I mean, though, to talk about it, like, it does really feel like they're paying off all of the hype on the Absolute line, not just because it's like a new world and all of that, but the book is just awesome. Like, the story is just awesome. The art is just awesome. It feels like they call these books Absolute. The name of the whole event is All In. And it really is that. Like, it feels like the story's going so hard. It's very different, yet still retaining a lot of the Wonder Woman iron, like forged in fire vibe here, but coming at it from this other, more, in this case, hellish place. But it's just...
It's such a cool idea, too. It's like, what if Wonder Woman was raised in hell? Oh, yeah.
Well, so one of the big things that I was thinking about, and I think we talked about this a little bit with Absolute Batman, or maybe Justin, you and I were talking about this a little bit at the con, but like, going into this, it felt like there were shades of the dark multiverse stuff where
Yeah.
it's just like, it's like this, but it's fucked up, and you're
it's
not
like
going to believe
metal.
how fucked up it is. And it's just this intense Dark Knight's Metal thing that Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo do. That was a lot of fun, but that's the dark and gritty stuff. What I think they've done here successfully so far in these 2 issues is take the core of the heroes we know, and that hope and that love and that heart, and put them into the middle of a dark multiverse situation. Because the whole point of the dark multiverse is these are stories that failed, and they're not going to succeed, and they're going to go wrong. Here, very clearly, from the first moments when you get Diana in full armor riding on a skeleton horse, very cool, fighting demons on the beach. But the way that she talks to people, she's like, no, get to safety. You got to go save people. I'll take care of this. And that's Diana.
She's still
through
her,
and
yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Well, and it feels like they took that idea of these like failed universes and were like, but what if they were successful? Mm-hmm. What if we just heightened the stakes of each of our main heroes here, and with Wonder Woman put her in a more slightly different mythological place, but still a mythological place, and had it just be a harsher line between good and evil that she's fighting, from and for, and that makes for just good storytelling. It's something that pops because it is like heightened on all fronts.
Yeah, what's interesting too is we've seen like Wonder Woman metal. We've seen the Daniel Warren Johnson version of Wonder Woman, which was also kind of metal. This, I don't have the metal fatigue. It's done in such a way, like Alex was talking about. There's still so much care around the character, and it still is the character we know. It's just a more badass situation for this character to shine, and they're killing this.
Yeah.
By metal fatigue, Pete, you mean rust, and that's why you can only get hyped for like 4 books.
That's right, dude. I'm like the Tin Man, bro. I can only,
Oil can.
Yeah.
Super tight bananas can. Please.
Oil Can is a perfect transition to our next book, Iron Man #1 from Marvel, written by Spencer Ackerman, art by Julius Ohta. Some really big moves in this book. Marvel has been hyping up that Spencer Ackerman is a securities expert, I believe writing his first comic book, if I remember correctly. And here we get Iron Man in charge of his company once again, at least for a little while, until he starts getting attacked on every single front possible. There's a lot going on here, from Tony Stark coming out as pro-union, to him starting a sports betting website on superheroes, to his armor being attacked, to there being multiple villains. This felt like a very busy book to me. How did it strike you guys?
but that's such a sick
there's
idea.
There's nothing you can hype more from a corporate perspective than someone's experience with securities. Whether it's securities in exchange money or it's just being good at security, which is probably not what they mean at all. Right?
I just gotta say, it's such a fun idea, because like, if they had sports betting where like superheroes are real, and you're just like, yeah, I bet you $10 the Hulk's gonna whoop some ass today. Oh yeah, I'll take that bet. I mean, that's just a fun idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah, what's the parlay on the Grey Hulk smashing someone in Vegas at the same time that Captain America's shield gets eaten by Fin Fang Foom? At the same time that
I'll take the
Penance turns back
parlay,
into
a
Speedball.
double dog.
Yes. I'm in on it.
I'll take Iron Man to show. Yeah, this is fun. It's there is a lot going on, and I also think the villain's kind of badass. But yeah, it's intriguing. It's interesting to see if they can pull all this off.
There is a lot going on, and I will say the part that feels a little bit, perhaps this is what you're mentioning, Alex, like a bridge too far, is the magic part. Because we're setting up, the name of this is the Stark-Roxxon War. Very cool. Corporate, feels like an iteration on Armor Wars that will be more about money and corporate raiders, that kind of stuff. Very cool. That's plenty. The fact that we've thrown in here, like, Iron Man has magic armor made out of the magic metal that we introduced in the last year or two. Well, at the same time, the magic metal is basically killing him, or the magic armor is killing him. I'm like, twist. And I like the dramatic twist of him being fully wrecked when his armor just stops working. You don't usually see that from Iron Man. it does
Well,
feel like, how are we going to balance all of these ideas?
We just saw that, though, kind of, in the last run from Jerry Duggan. That's where he started off, with Iron Man being totally broken down and potentially heading towards his own death. And obviously you have to have those stakes there, but in the middle of, like, there's a bunch of Hulks, and I'm trying to set up a union, and I'm trying to save my company, and also corporate raiders are taking over my company, and also several villains have returned. There's this whole section in the middle where he's in a coma for a while and ends up disturbingly skinny with a long, scraggly beard. And I don't know. I mean, I assume the idea is to bring him back to when he was building armor in a cave and bring him back to basics, and I get it. Yep. But this definitely feels like a first-time writer being like, I have 1 million ideas! Here you go! So
I like Tony Stark's like, oof, sort of a longer coma. Guess I'm losing a step. I'm like, that's where I want to be living. Really knowing how long my comas are lasting.
All right, why don't we move on and talk about the Power Fantasy #3 from Image Comics, written by Kieron Gillen, art by Caspar Wjingard. This is a huge issue, and if you want to find out more, depending on when you're listening to this later on today, Justin and I sat down with the duo at New York Comic Con for a breakdown of all the big spoilers here.
Great job.
Very insightful, very interesting stuff that they had to say.
It's too bad you guys didn't talk to them about this comic.
I almost exclusively talked to them about it, and we did. They get into a lot of the way that this comic came together, because what I think is this is such a hit comic, and it's so. I asked them this question. It's dealing with alternate history set in the past for a lot of it, dealing with high philosophy amongst how power works, both in a superhero way but in a geopolitical way, while also being like a badass character study and an action comic about how you shouldn't fight. That's complicated, and they really break down how they developed it in a cool way in that interview.
Well, I'll tell you what, I wasn't there, but I definitely would have talked to their ear off about this cover. I love this cover so much. I think, this is going to be the future. There's BYOB, but this is bring your own cow. You know what I mean?
BYOC.
Like sometimes when you bring up to, go to someone's barbecue, you're going to have to bring your own cow, so this is just...
that's definitely what's happening here on the
great comic, execution of a fun idea of, just...
And that's why you're training to be a butcher, Pete.
If you haven't been reading this book, it takes place in a world where 6 people have superpowers. There's actually a couple more that we know about now, but 6 main ones. It's a metaphor for the atomic age. It starts in 1945, goes up to 1999, as far as we know. And we've been following a bunch of the different atomics, as they're called, but really focusing in on Valentina, who may or may not be an angel who's fallen down from heaven, as well as Etienne, a atomic who has super strong mind powers. This issue is very focused on them, and finally pulls back the curtain a little bit in terms of the alternate reality of this world. I'm not going to spoil the end here, but it is a big, bold move that they make, and then there's an even bigger and bolder move in terms of a timeline that they put on the final page that basically lays out almost everything, or a bunch of different things that are going to happen all the way up to issue 12, which is a wild swing for a book to do. So I am very impressed with the ambition here, if nothing else.
It's such a flex to say, like, in your Krakoa era X-Men style timeline, hey, here's, I won't say it, but like, here's a bunch of stuff that happened. See issue 6, see issue 12. And you're like, this is issue 3, dude. You're flexing on issue 12 now? Baller.
Yeah, I love the art, the tone of it. This is a perfect mixture of story and action. This is some top shelf shit right here. I was really impressed with this comic.
All right, next up, heavily hyped issue, Detective Comics 1090 from DC Comics, written by Tom Taylor, art by Mikel Janín. This is Tom Taylor moving over from Nightwing to the main event, Mr. Bats himself, and he is bringing some twists to Batman's origin in this issue, as well as giving him a new challenge in the present. What'd you guys think? Obviously, a lot of hype off of the Nightwing run. Do you feel this matched up to it, or what's your take?
Do we expect Batman in a Nightwing uniform just being a little too tight?
Mm-hmm. He's like, it felt so good, I didn't want to take it off.
Alfred, take in the seams on my costume. Make it smaller. I want to pop.
I thought this was awesome. I really enjoyed this this villain, the twists and turns. I thought this was really cool and interesting. Tom Taylor continues to be kicking butt.
I mean, Tom Taylor is great, and I will say we've seen Thomas and Martha Wayne a million times.
Sure have.
But only ever as like...
Have you thought about the pearls?
Yes, and I didn't see those here. Only ever as caricatures, really. And this, I really loved the scene work we get with them here. It really feels like they're fully fleshed out people in this book already, more so than we see in a lot of Batman books. There's a twist here that I think is cool. I'm going to say it's cool. Say it's cool.
I agree, because it sort of ties into the essential nature of Batman and the question about why he doesn't kill, why he helps people. There's very much a sense of Batman Begins throughout this issue, the movie. It definitely... It doesn't repeat that, but it feels like it gives a little bit of a riff on that. And Mikel Janin's art is great, as always.
The art is great. It matches with sort of the look-back tone we get with most of this story here. And... You know, Tom Taylor has proven himself to be a master when it comes, especially on Nightwing, but all of his DC work. The fact that he's moving over here to detective stuff, to do, of course. But the fact that we're getting sort of like a story that feels like it's been building in his quiver for quite some time. I'm excited to see it sort of fully explode out here.
Alien Romulus, #1 from Marvel, written by Zac Thompson, art by Daniel Picciotto. This is a direct prequel to the movie.
You gotta read this before you see the movie.
I mean, probably not. I don't think most people are going to do that, but you certainly can if you want to.
That's what I'm going to do.
I mean, that's what I did. I actually have not seen the movie yet, so I read this first, so there you go. But
yeah, I'm a completist. I'm waiting to see the movie.
But to be frank, I would say maybe don't, because I read this and I liked a lot of the stuff in here, but it definitely felt like I was missing a little something in terms of how it walks directly up to Alien Romulus. It didn't have the same impact for me because I don't know necessarily what's coming next.
Well, you got to see the movie and then it will all make sense. I really was impressed by this because...
But you haven't seen the movie as well, right?
I have not seen the movie.
Okay, so you don't know that's
interesting
true.
Case you're making.
Well, let me try to make it here, you fuckers.
Absolutely not. No.
The stage is yours.
I gotta wear you out before you get to the comic that I've highlighted where you get tired.
Oh, great.
Pete, you're the face hugger here, and you're going to inject your take into our faces.
Lay your egg takes in our tummies,
so that they may burst out of our chests when we repeat them back to you.
Great. So, anyways,
are you tired yet, Pete? Good night.
So, anyways, I like this idea of a prequel before the movie. Fun idea, and that makes me worried because I'm like, oh, this is like a zero issue. It's not going to be important. It's just all set up, no action. I was surprised how much action and adventure and shit that goes down in this prequel. This was badass. It was its own thing. And I had just a blast by it. I was so impressed. It got me hyped. I'm confused where the movie's going to start and all this, but I was hyped to be like, oh, man, this is fucking cool.
I'm very excited to see this movie. I have not seen it yet. I thought this was cool, but I will say the Alien formula is fun. We have... the corporate Weyland-Yutani being like, we don't care about humans, we want these aliens. But I will say,
money is.
It's starting to wear on me where they're like, we gotta study these aliens. Yeah. They're the future. I'm like, this is like finding a giant spider and being like, let's not kill it. Yeah. Let's keep it close to our faces until we can figure out what makes it
everybody gets dumb when they get close to aliens. They're just like,
And then all of the non-humans, the sort of, I forget what they're called, the android, the synths here, they're like, and we want to kill you too. And I'm like, what? Why? Guys, stop saying all this stuff. And I think we need in general to shake up the formula of how this works. I think they did a great job.
I think the Marvel comics have been doing
That's what I was going to say. I think the Marvel comics, the arc that was set on the ice planet, I thought fully upset this, and it was very cool. this snapped back to like scientists studying the alien. The alien's going to cut loose.
Yeah.
Someone with an eye patch
I haven't
is a
seen the
badass.
alien, but the idea that like probably the same thing happened twice in a row is, to Justin's point, a little weird. I also think it's consistently funny that the androids are always like, this is the perfect species. What makes them think that? It's a giant bug full of acid with a weird head that has like another head inside of its head.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It's got
Is that
two heads.
perfect?
Yeah, you know.
It's wild though. They're synthetic humans, and they're like, you know what I want to be? A bug. A sick ass acid bug. And it's like, no, why?
This
You
is
don't
a
wanna-
monster. It's so much more than a bug. I mean, come on.
And they're like, it's a perfect killing machine. I gotta say, the humans win a lot. They win a fair amount.
not enough because the aliens are still around.
Yeah,
bro.
but they don't have like a 100% kill rate. That's all.
Yeah, I have an ongoing war with like
Ripley's doing okay.
Ripley kept living for a while until a movie that everyone regrets. I have an ongoing war with bugs like mosquitoes, but like I'm not like they're perfect. I love them.
Maybe if you study them, you
The
would come to that
perfect blood
conclusion.
machine.
Yeah, they are perfect blood machines. Modern day vampires, man. Live
Yeah.
off your blood.
Also,
Oh.
ancient prehistoric vampires. Just to
Shouts to Pete for being pro mosquito all of a sudden. This guy lives
mosquito.
he lives out of the city. He's in the country.
he's mostly mosquito at this point.
Yeah,
Pete, you can't get too close to these mosquitoes. Are you on the mosquito side?
they're my neighbors,
fucked
man.
up.
You gotta be friends.
I will say, last time I saw you, Pete, you were in my ear going, like, and I was like, Steve, Pete, stop it. And you
was like-
kept sort of poking
I
your
was like, what are
nose
you,
into
O
my
positive?
flesh.
What is that?
Yeah, and that also explains why you live in that swamp. I thought it was a whole Shrek thing, but it turns out it's a mosquito thing. So there you go.
I mean, there's a little Shrek in there. Pete loves
tiny
Shrek.
bit.
He loves Shrek.
You do have that donkey friend you hang out with.
Donkey? His name is Donkey?
Come on, man. Let's move on already.
Oh, you want to talk about some other anthropomorphic animals? Let's do it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #3 from IDW, written by Jason Aaron, art by Cliff Chiang. In this issue, returning to the turtle who, of course, is named Donatello?
What? This guy?
Is it Donatello this issue?
I can't tell who you're pointing
What?
to.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Somebody
He's
say
definitely
which
pointing
turtle
at you,
this
Pete.
is.
It's Leonardo. God.
Leonardo. The sword is the giveaway, you asshole.
I don't know, man. They all look the same.
Well, I mean, that's fucked up, Alex, but I will say they do sort of look the same. That's why they wear bandanas.
Yes, and I can't tell the colors. I have not memorized the colors. Anyway, this is Leonardo.
You haven't memorized the colors?
I have not memorized the colors.
What is
It's
it? What
there's
is there a
four of
pop
them.
quiz?
It's not like there's a fucking
I
giant
can't
list.
keep
It's
track.
just four.
I can't keep track of them.
Oh,
I'm very
my
sorry.
God.
He's turtle blind. This guy's turtle blind.
I really am.
I'm colorblind.
Anyway, this
and I
is
know the
another
fucking-
phenomenal issue of this book, I will say, particularly because you got Cliff Chiang on art as Leonardo hangs out on a beach. What?
It's crazy. You're like, this is a great book. I don't know what the fucking turtle is. I don't know shit about this
I just
guy.
don't remember their names. That's all. Like, I know that he is
What
sad.
are their qualities, Alex? Maybe talk about their qualities.
Okay, he's the one in the song. He's like, Leonardo
song.
is super sad. He wants
No.
to die and have other turtles eat him.
What?
That's
When
true.
the other turtles attack, you know, Leonardo is going to be their snack. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Right?
Hey,
That's the song.
That was good. Let me say shouts to you. That was
don't.
good. When the
This is really
attack-
sad, and I thought this was impressively done. I've never seen the turtles interact with real turtles before, and I really loved that idea. I loved how it executed. It ends in a huge place at the end of this issue. This run has been phenomenal, and I really think like Cliff Chiang pushed. He's already incredible, but he really pushed himself even harder with this issue, which we saw with Raphael Albuquerque in the last issue too. So
Albuquerque.
whatever's going on here, these artists are like playing to their A+ game or whatever you want to call it with the series.
Okay, if I may here. First off, love the insert page. Feels like a real homage to Eastman and Laird here. Yes, this issue rocks. This is such a glorious TMNT story. I love this so much. Amazeballs art. Just absolutely amazeball art. Fun Leo entrance, the way it kind of like gave us backstory and then caught us up with his big entrance. So badass. This is so cool. The duo here of Jason Aaron and Cliff Chiang, J. Cliff. I love me some J. Cliff. I mean,
Pete.
what are you doing? Oh, I'm Jay Clifton. Just basking in this Jay Clifton light here. I'm having a Jay Clifton blast with this. This is fan-fucking-tastic. I feel like I'm getting an updated version of the thing that I loved so much as a kid. This is just glorious, man. Glorious.
Pete inventing a new swear word, it sounds like. Sounds cool. This was good. I really like the structure that they've chosen to lay this book out, where we have been really getting in the head of each individual turtle. There's the one we haven't seen yet is revealed to be in a problematic situation at the end of this issue. I like how different they are. That's something that I think helps define this run, when often the turtles are sort of like pretty similar, except one of them parties a little bit harder and has a grappling hook canonically. So it's nice to see. It's nice to see that this was sad, but they're all a little sad. So I think the next one will be sad also.
It's glorious.
Not to go on too much of a tangent, but let's talk about Green Lantern Dark #1 from DC Comics, written by Tate Brombal, art by Werther Dell'Edera, which takes place in the Tangent universe.
Oh, there's
you get it.
Elseworlds.
Okay. It's an Elseworlds. We're getting a different view of Green Lantern. We're getting a different view of Grundy in this issue, as well as a Grundy plague has taken over the world that has been plunged in darkness, and one town called Lantern's Light stands against it. This is also Tate Brombal, who is Something is Killing the Children adjacent, I'll say, writing on House of Slaughter, and Werther Dell'Edera, who is the artist on Something is Killing the Children. So this definitely has a sense of that in this book.
Well, and it's also a story that is basically right next door to Something is Killing the Children, and one of the characters looks like one of the characters from Something is Killing the Children. So if you're a fan of Something is Killing the Children, I think you would like this book as well. But I really enjoyed this. It is dark. Shouts to Grundy. What a come-up to be the major villain here. This was very fun. I thought the new Green Lantern that is created here was very cool. Retaining some fun character traits while also being dark and scary.
Yeah, not usually a big Green Lantern fan, but I love the art style of the young, kind of magical Green Lantern. Can't say enough about the art style. It's super tight bananas. Yeah, this is very cool looking.
X-Men #6 from Marvel, written by Jed MacKay, art by Netho Diaz. Bunch of stuff going on in this issue. This is a big one in terms of revealing the overall plot of the series, as we get Temper and Magic head off to bring back a new young mutant. Everybody knows that Cassandra Nova and friends of hers, allies of hers, are targeting them for unknown reasons. So it's laying out a lot of exposition at the same time. I know we've been a little iffy on this series in general. I do think things start to come together in a nice way this issue, even though I'm still not 100% sold.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like this is what this is about. It's these new mutants are being created, I guess we can say artificially, or they're humans that are turned into mutants. And they seem to be being welcomed into the X-Men. Let me say, my prediction is that one or more of them are going to turn on the X-Men. I feel like what Cassandra Nova is exploiting here is the X-Men's willingness to always have an open door to anyone that's a mutant. And so my feeling is that's what is being used to potentially exploit them.
Can I throw a possible turncoat that we might get in a future issue? I feel like maybe it might be this character called Zorn, who shows up here out of randomly nowhere in the issue. Well, I don't think he was in previous issues. He shows up in a scene next to Magneto. I was like, what are you doing here, Zorn? What is going on? Why is nobody referencing you in literally any way whatsoever? And given
it was
that,
weird.
Yes, he just kind of shows up there. And given that there was the whole Zorn is Magneto reveal from New X-Men famously, and there's stuff weird going on with Magneto and they don't know how to solve it and we don't know what's happening there, I feel like maybe they might be like, God damn it, Zorn, you got us again.
Yeah, I think they were just putting them next to each other, so they're like, see, they're not the same person.
I feel like Zorn should have to, like, every once in a while be like, take your mask off. Who are you? Regular? Are you just regular, or are you Cassandra Nova now?
I liked Magneto's speech. You know what I mean? I thought that was super nice of him to be so welcoming to all.
Yeah, but Pete, you love the X-Men. They can do no wrong.
Yeah. I felt like this was a really good start to a story here. I like this. I feel like it was great arc. And then classic, right at the end there, Scott Summers showing why he's a shitty leader. I felt like, this is checking a lot of boxes.
Well, he was a fine leader in those moments. Here, Pete, here's something I learned at New York Comic Con. A friend of mine was waiting in line to get a comic, the first appearance of Rogue, signed by Chris Claremont, who was at the con. Wow. And Chris Claremont, unprompted, leans over to him and is like, you know what I hate? Krakoa.
Yes!
Yes! He was like, I didn't know what to say to him. And I was like, yeah, that's weird on his part, for sure.
Dude, that makes me so happy.
Yeah, that's weird. I feel like he would have liked it, though, because he was always pushing the envelope and changing things.
Yes, but I think he felt like it was... I mean, I'm speculating now. This is just what I think based on what I know about Chris Claremont. It feels like a departure from everything that's come before, purposefully so. And I think he feels like it's intentionally like a bubble that you can't revisit. And Chris Claremont's whole thing is like, I'm going to lay down 50 little tracks and I'll get to them when I want to. And it's like, why would you do something in that style that is like a just huge deviation / bump in the road?
Well, I'm going to listen to the voices in my head on this one for Voices in My Head number 1 from Image Comics, written by Joe Pruett, art by Andrew Robinson, Phil Hester, Juan Doe, Michael Gaydos, and Bill Ruth. This is an anthology of stories all written by Pruett that run the gamut from horror to other type of horror stories. Are you okay, Pete? What just happened there?
No, I was like, oh God, I hope you don't have this cover up because it's a fucking terrifying cover, and you had it right there. So
it's right there next to you.
Yeah,
you're almost in it, Pete. If you lean a little bit, lean a little bit this way. Lean in, you'll be part of it.
I got something blocking, so I can't even see you guys because I don't even.
Man, what, Pete? You can't even handle. What are you? What are you, a scaredy cat? Why are you so scared?
I don't like giving my mind ammunition for nightmares later. You know what I mean?
Do you give out candy on Halloween, or are you too scared to do that because the witches and goblins come by? The tiny ones.
No, I think that giving out candy on Halloween is a great time. What are you talking
Pete,
about?
do you ever listen to the scariest song of all, the Monster Mash? It's crazy. It's fuck you up. I rooster tail last time I heard it.
Stop saying rooster tail. It's so gross.
What's gross? What's gross about that? It's just diarrhea that shoots out in the rooster tail.
Do you know in the Monster Mash, this is an interesting fact about that, they're not actually dancing. The song you're listening to is not the Monster Mash because they say they did the mash, they did the Monster Mash. Yeah. So they're explaining the circumstances of what happened.
It's a prequel song.
Yeah, it's prequel.
You're saying.
Anyway, this is a cool.
Sorry, Pete, I don't want to scare you, but
art.
They did the mash. They did the Monster Mash.
It's amazing art. I think that this is impressive. The amount of the number of demons he's killed is very impressive, and that's a fun reveal. But yeah, crazy cool story. Mom is super creepy though.
What are you talking about?
Are you talking about your mom or my mom?
No, I'm talking about the mom in this comic book.
What did you think of this, Justin?
I like this. This reminded me a lot of... There's a comic in probably the early aughts that Vertigo put out called Vertigo Visions. And it was very much in this style of like short Vertigo / not necessarily hard horror, but like horror adjacent stories that had a strong twist right at the end. And each of these stories here has good twist energy in it. And they feel very different, despite the fact that they're written by the same person. The art's very different in each one, and I enjoyed each of them.
I liked it better as it went on. The original pieces at the beginning, the first 2, maybe 3, were a little text heavy for my taste. I understand what he was going for there in terms of giving it a more Victorian, old school feel, and then it starts to open up to more modern comic styles as it goes. But those are the ones that I liked as it continued, though, as you guys said, I like the art throughout, particularly always a fan of Phil Hester. Yeah. And speaking of Phil Hester, let's move to one of his most iconic books, though he's not on this issue. Green Arrow, number 17 from DC Comics, written by Joshua Williamson and Chris Condon, art by Amake Nahulpen and Amontos. The front story is a aftermath of absolute
knew this
power
was coming.
as Green Arrow, who is unforgivable and should shit himself to death and die. Right, Pete?
Yep.
Pete, he explains here. You must feel better.
No, I don't. It's bullshit.
So he deals with both the Arrow family and his repercussions for his actions in Absolute Power, as well as the Justice League. And then the backup story is setting up his new status quo going into the all-in status quo of his new series. Or not new series, continuation of the series. You know what I mean. I'll shut up. What do you guys think?
Well, I thought this was, something that I've been waiting for is like, what's the story? What's the excuse? Why is everything going to welcome him back with open hands? And he did the old, hey, I had to because I believed in the mission that we were doing. So I had to fuck all of you over and not tell you anything at all. And everyone was like, hey, we're superheroes. We have to do crazy shit every day. And it's no problem. I was mind wiped. She got taken over by a starfish. It's all good, bro. And like, I get that a little bit, but it's just like, the way he left his family was just so cold and not a caring person move to do. It was very upsetting. And I just be like, you can't just say to your wife, like, hey, listen, I love you. I got to go do something fucked up that I don't agree with. And hopefully you'll forgive me later. Peace. Like, you can't say a little something, you know what I mean? You just got to fucking leave like a douchebag in the middle of the night.
I liked it. I thought he was charming. I thought the art did a good job of emphasizing his Robin Hood, his qualities of him, where he's like, yes, here I did it because I believed in it, but I'm still me. Like that got back to a core feeling of Green Arrow. So like, I think it's cool. I know you're mad because you don't like when characters are sneaky, Pete, but this was Sneaky Pete. This was cool. And shouts to Chris Condon coming on, taking over Green Arrow. This feels like a very different run that we're getting into, and I welcome it.
The Avengers, number 19 from Marvel, written by Jed MacKay, art by Fareed Karami. In this issue, while Black Panther goes off on a mission solo, the rest of the Avengers are finally face-to-face with Sorcerer Supreme Doom, somebody who has been waiting in the background since the Blood Hunt finished, though, as we know, the Blood Hunt will never be finished.
Yeah,
If you like philosophy, get ready, because this is Doom and the Avengers talking the philosophy of whether they should take over the world for an entire issue. And Pete loved it because Pete was a philosophy minor in college, I believe, if that's correct.
Nope.
No,
but I
was
love
a minor philosopher in Ithaca, New York.
I was... I'm a big fan of Doom. I'm a Doom head, and I just love Doom flexing on the Avengers, where he's like, hey, get over here. And they're like, what, Doom? And he's like, listen.
Doom?
What is your thing? You're against, you're like, Green Arrow, no corner given for going rogue when he was mind wiped and then having a perfectly good reason. On the other hand, Dr. Doom, a mass murderer, love that guy.
It's great. But also, I just love the fact that he was just like, listen, Avengers, I want to talk to you. And they're like, what? And he's just spends the whole issue being like, hey, listen, I feel like you guys have power and you should be using it better. And, you could be making this world a better place. And they were like, nah, we don't want to do that. And he's like, all right, well, that's bullshit. I'm out. And I just thought that was such a hilarious move to be like, yeah, well, guess what? I'm going to be doing some fucked up shit later. Good luck trying to catch me. Peace.
You believe in efficiency.
I just think it's fun to, fuck with the Avengers. And I felt like he did such a great job, and it was hilarious.
I mean, that's very strange. This did have a corporate feel to it where they're like, we've been expecting this phone call. It's Doom. We got to talk to him. They go, and he's like, hey, could you guys work a little harder? And they're like, no, we don't want to work harder. And he's like, see you soon. And he's like, hey, let's cut this whole department. Let's just cut
He's
them
like,
out.
we're not going to need
They're
you
fired.
moving forward.
Let's
Yeah.
lay
Well, but
off.
first,
Exactly.
you got to mention, he's like, but I got you guys some cool new uniforms. What do you guys think about that? We're all going to kind of look the same. We're all going to be in the same green. It's a corporate identity rebranding type thing going on.
I mean, I will say I did enjoy this issue. I like the emphasis
Justin.
on Storm. Not because I like Doom. I like the way that Storm is joining the team. And everyone's like, so you used to date Black Panther? And like, that's a fun dynamic to be in here. I did think it was funny that Storm's brand new. And when they encounter Doom, she's like, let me handle this one, guys. And she's the one who gives the speech. I'm like, wow, let the rookie run shit.
Yeah.
It did remind me that she used to run Mars very recently, so this feels like
She's run a planet. She's run a planet.
This feels like
Been
a
in
little
charge
bit
of
a
the
step
X-Men
down.
as well. Come on.
I feel like Mars is a step up for both the X-Men and the Avengers. That's just my personal feeling.
And what's her experience is weather. Her experience is just weather, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, dude. She was a queen of Wakanda, dude. Show some respect.
Again, Mars is bigger than Wakanda. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Alex is always pushing Mars. He's like,
am.
let's go to Mars. Let's
Get
do a
your
live
ass
show
to
on
Mars.
Mars. It's fun. It's big. Wait, you see the weather.
2
there.
weeks, 2 weeks, I always say. Somebody out there gets this. Anyway, The Feeding #1 from Image Comics, written by David M. Boer, art by Drew Zucker. This is about a cursed painting that is following a man around. Pete, you frequent art galleries and are a scaredy cat, as we've previously established on this podcast episode.
Yes, I do
Yeah,
love
Pete,
art.
list
Thank you.
the paintings that you're scared of real quick. Just all
Mona
of them?
Lisa, what the fuck is she thinking?
What's she smiling about? I can't look at her.
What she's either smiling or frowning, I can't tell.
She's not smiling.
Also, those melting clocks, oh my god, what heated them up?
How do they tell what time it is?
I'm surprised
Starry
you guys-
Night? Yikes.
Bring up the Scream. Come on. I mean, be realistic. Anyways,
Never heard of
this
it.
was a really
Is that based
fun.
on the movies?
Oh my god.
Sort
This
of.
was
Similar
a
face.
this was a fun idea. You know what I mean? We've seen the Dorian Gray idea. This is a little bit different from that, but still kind of possessed by a painting. So I thought I liked the idea of this, and I thought it was well executed. It's a crazy, fucked up story, but it's still kind of fun and unique.
Fun standalone feel. If you're a fan of American Psycho, this feels like
that's a great call.
that meets the portrait of Dorian Gray.
Yeah.
Hey, Justin, great call on
The
that.
picture of Dorian Gray.
Yes. Thank you for correcting yourself. Let's turn to one of my favorite comics of the past couple of months. Zatanna, Bring Down the House, #5 from DC Comics, written by Mariko Tamaki, art by Javier Rodriguez. We've been following Zatanna slowly owning her own power and exploring the trauma of her past, involving her father alongside the absolutely glorious art of Javier Rodriguez. This was great. This is the final issue of this book. This is fantastic. If you missed it, go pick it up in the single issues, in the trade when it comes out. This is a masterpiece.
Worth it for the art alone. I mean, this is just absolutely glorious. So much fun. Great ending.
Yes, I was gonna call it the ending as well. I like that it was able to sort of reconnect with the rest of the DC universe here at the very end. But man, the art in this is beautiful. The story is really fun. It's great to see Zatanna just cutting loose in these pages, both in the actual story and the way that it's presented in the art. And colors, the colors.
Oh, yeah. Not just the art, the colors. Good call, my friend.
X Factor #3 from Marvel, written by Mark Russell, art by Bob Quinn. In this issue, the Havoc-led team is going to the moon, ostensibly to infiltrate a AI-powered facility, but it turns out spoiler here, the AI has gone rogue and attacks them. Not Rogue, the X-Men character, but Rogue, the concept. Yes, Pete?
What was that? You did like this weird thing where you're like, AI.
Oh, that's a cough.
Are you scared of Siri or something? Like, are you trying to disguise the fact?
No,
that
I
you
haven't been on this podcast for months. I'm using an AI to generate my opinions.
Oh,
I never thought. Do you guys ever worry that AI might somehow take more control of our lives than we ever would want it to?
I haven't.
Have you ever
but
thought
that would
about
be
that from a
really-
science fiction concept?
Well, that'd be a really interesting idea for like a movie or something, or a movie series, honestly.
I'll tell you what,
television show.
I would have a badass granny who couldn't die, that's for sure.
Nice. What if like all the lamps in our house turned against us, you know?
Well, think about this. This is a little bit of a different topic, but what if God was one of us?
Oh, my God. You're just sharing songs you got in your head now?
Well, it feels like a departure. It feels like a departure.
This is really solid art, fun story. I felt like this is a fun X Factor-ish.
I was on the bus the other day, and there was a stranger. And I'll tell you what, I gave them a real once-over. You know what I mean?
Oh, wait. Was that from the song?
Yeah, just a stranger on the bus.
Oh, right.
You only know the title?
I
That's literally
thought
the
you were
next
talking
lyric.
about this comic book.
I never really listened to it beyond the first line.
Wow, nice. You're like, I get it. Turn it off.
That's it for me in music.
X
yes.
Factor.
Yes.
We're having some fun here. Mark Russell is fun. I like this comic has sort of a melancholy to it, like a lot of Mark Russell's work. But the fact that it is like a big, bright, sort of comedy-forward X book, yet still maintains it, I think is really cool. While still able to Mark is able to make the satirical points that I think he likes to do with a lot of his work.
I still want it, and I say this, I love Mark Russell and everything that he does. I want it to be like a little sharper. It's not quite as knives out as the stuff that he does for Ahoy Comics. Maybe that's just being in Marvel. Maybe that's being in continuity. I don't know. But I even felt it in his DC work where there were things that were like, ooh, that is very precise. And here, he gets some of the stuff out with AI. There's some good lines there. The power dogging runner is very funny as well, but it's not quite sharp. Like, I thought we were going to get, oh my God, the X Factor team dies every issue after the first issue, and that's not what we're getting here. So I'm curious what point we're getting around to with this.
I think it's still developing. I feel confident that we're getting to... There's a lot of Polaris talk here. I think each new character feels like they don't have a lot to live, and they're not doing a great job.
Yeah. Universal Monsters, Frankenstein, number 3, another character that's not doing a great job living, from Image Comics by Michael Walsh.
You.
He's not. He is dead alive. That's the whole concept of the character.
Frankenstein's monster is.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're a... Are you defending Frankenstein the scientist?
That's right.
Wow.
Your
Man,
favorite... if it's Dr. Doom or
Dr.
Dr.
Doom.
Frankenstein, you just love doctors.
this guy loves doctors. He respects the medical
sure.
industry.
Oh, my God. How many years of medical school did Dr. Doom go for? Probably a lot. Anyway,
He's my
we are...
primary care physician.
following different parts of the Frankenstein's monster and their origins here. We're focusing in on the heart, which is taken from a place very close to the characters in the book. Again, a very interesting job of weaving through the raindrops of the movie here. Really well done.
Well, yeah, what I really like about this, and we talked to Michael Walsh a ways back, which is a fun interview about this book. And the way that the thematic comes through with the action and the minute what?
Pete is dying to say.
He's dying. I know.
Dying.
You know what? We can just lay it in. We can just lay in your line. We should have asked him about this book. Says Pete.
What's
The
fun
way
is I just had to look at Alex and he just started going like this.
He's like, don't
do it.
Please don't.
Don't do it.
That's good. That's a good sign from a group of people who work together. It's like, please don't do the thing you always do. Please don't do it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, go ahead.
What I was saying is like the way that Michael is able to weave the thematic of heart into the very physical presentation of the story, the thematic and action of the romance angle here, and make it pop, sort of have a different meaning for a lot of the individual characters, is really, it's very symphonic. It's very just like being able to tune each instrument right where you want it to be, and that's really amazing.
Wow. Well, yeah, I don't want to just say the same thing in a different way.
Did you want to say symphonic?
I feel like I should just stop after you drop that big word there. Congrats on your vocabulary words choices. I think it's impressive what's being done in something that we've seen 80 different ways, and this is really elegant and creative, and something that is very old and treaded. So it's something to hold up and be like, this is cool. We can still find gold within stuff that we've seen done millions of ways. So artistically and storytelling wise, this is really impressive.
Totally agree. Next up, Action Comics 1072 from DC Comics, written by Mark Waid and Mariko Tamaki, art by Clayton Henry and Skylar Patridge. In the front story, Superman is in the Phantom Zone. He's met up with Mon-El and is facing down a new enemy. And in the backup story, Supergirl is investigating a mystery in space. I continue to really like this, and I really like the fact that we're getting Action Comics weekly. I know I mentioned this last time, but it just gives me those good vibes from back in the day. We were getting Superman books once a week. Very fun.
To quote Justin here, this is a great package. You're getting two unbelievable stories in here, one better than the other. And I can't say enough about the Supergirl art. And this is real impressive, both stories.
I really like the way that Mark Waid draws the connection between Superman and Mon-El here. It's set up so nicely, and really using the Superman continuity to tell this story that is so far away from where that it came from. And then the backup story is fantastic. It is a great. Let me try to think about this. It's very. It's a great. His package. It's very symphonic.
Grommets, number 5 from Image Comics, written by Rick Remender and Brian Posehn, art by Brett Parson. We are following a bunch of skater boys who are hanging out with some girls and having a party back in the 90s when a bunch of jocks have come in there and are wrecking the whole place. Things get real quick by the end of this issue as the jocks go wild and beat the crap out of them. I like the art in this book, and I like the characters. Really curious where this is going, because we're running out of time at this point in terms of, I think there's 7 issues or something like that. So I'm curious what, obviously we're going to find out in 2 issues time, but what the overall point of this is, because I'm not quite sure, other than slice of life, Richard Linklater-esque movie, I guess, with a lot more violence.
Yeah, this is fucked up. The way this goes down, I really liked so much of it. It's making fun of culture in the first 5-6 pages, just having some fun and being like, no, skateboarding will never sell out. No one's ever gonna do the stuff that we all do now. But then it turns into just oh no, all of our main characters are being punished for just being who they are. And I mean, maybe that's where we are in the run, where it's this is the part where everything sucks and then they're going to win at the end. But I was very surprised about how far it went in this.
I mean, it's Remender, dude. He's going to play with your emotions. I feel like this is a great nostalgia bath. The 90s were a crazy time, but also a dark time. A lot of fighting in the 90s. And,
really?
This really
Who did you fight? Did you fight Squeezebox or Dance Dance, your friend Dance Dance Revolution or whatever?
Nope, neither one of those are
the Vegan Dream?
The Unseen Vegan Dream?
Yeah.
No, we never.
I
fought Chi-Chi's Rodriguez one time, though. Chi-Rod Nation, we went to blows a couple times.
Yeah, so you're making fun of me for not having the right series of nonsense words, but you have the series of nonsense words.
That's right. You're just using the wrong ones.
Okay, well.
It's like unlocking a secret Da Vinci code.
That's how English works. You got to say the right words at the right time. I feel like this is, a fun Remender book, and, I'm along for the ride. This is cool and fucked up.
DC Horror presents number 1 from DC Comics, written by David Dastmalchian and Leah Kilpatrick, and the Boulay brothers, art by Kat Staggs and Butch Mappa. This is a collection of 2 different horror stories not set in the DC universe because some messed up things happened in both of them. Pete, are you okay? This seems like a scary cover for you.
It is a scary cover, you asshole.
It is a scary cover.
Yeah, so I'm not the asshole here. So, keep it moving. Yeah, great. Two great stories here. Fantastic art. Not to overuse, but oh wait, I'm sorry. We're at DC Horror. Oops.
Is this the book you predicted he would be tired?
I'm sorry. Yeah, I can't look at the screen, so I got confused if we were talking about Action Comics or DC Horror here. Apologies. But yeah,
this is actually the one that I wrote down. Pete loses energy. How are you doing, Pete?
Yep.
Yes.
I think that this is the zombie kind of fighting Wonder Woman is cool. But yeah, there's some scary shit going down in here.
I find it interesting. I mean, the cover is great. This is like a tied up Superman with his face is just ruined. It's wild. But the lead off story is about Dollhouse, which I was like, weird. And it's like a fine story, but I was like, what a strange choice to kick off a 4-issue series on DC horror. And then we get the Wonder Woman story, which is fun as well, but neither of them are true horror. I felt like they're a little soft in their
well,
sort
it's
of
DC
target.
horror. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, but like I want to see like a horrifying story. Pick up any of the Batman books or other books that we talk about. There's a horrifying.
What about Sunnyside
happening.
Batman? That's not a horrifying book. You know what I mean?
Sunnyside?
Sunnyside?
Like Sunnyside Up?
That up.
Like
I'm
the
just
egg?
saying
Like
that
eggs?
not all comics are dark, man. You don't have to say pick up any comic. They're not all dark.
Many of them are, though, and I just feel like this should lead up to more. And I'm curious about your Sunnyside Batman. It's very fun.
Yeah, were we
I'm
talking
writing
about
it.
that
I'm
next?
working
I
on it.
believe up next is Sunnyside Batman number 558 by Oh Happy Day and the Happy Days. We're going to talk about Self-Help number 5 from Image Comics, written by Owen King and Jesse Kellerman, art by Marietta and Ignazi. A lot of stuff going on in this issue. I think we talked about this with the last one as well. It felt like this was a pretty straightforward Prince of the Pauper noir story with a guy switching places, a con man switching places with his identical self-help guru who is rich. But they are adding so many characters and so many details.
Yes.
I still really like the main story here and the noose that's tightening around him and his family, but it is widened out too much, in my opinion.
I agree. You know what this reminds me of? A book, both artistically and sort of the way the story is told, is Morning Glories. You remember that book where it was a book that I think we really liked, but often it'd be like, wait, what is happening here? It's the same thing where it's like, this is a cool book with like good lines a lot. The characters are interesting, but I'm just like, wait, what? What are you all doing? What is happening quite right here? But I, like you're saying, Alex, I am still drawn in by it, and the essential premise I think is very good. But we're moving so far away from it that I don't quite understand where we're going to end up.
Yeah, this is intense, great art, crazy, twisting story that is all fucked up. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they pull this off later.
Nightwing, number 119 from DC Comics, written by Dan Waters, art by Dexter Soy, following up on the renowned run by Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. We're getting a new take on Nightwing. Justin, you're our night guy. What'd you think about this?
The night guy?
I'm the night guy. Hey, guys, I'm the night guy.
Yeah, there's Batman Sunnyside and Batman Night Guy.
This, what I think this does a good job with is it really does pick up right where we left off in a good way. And it seems like we're getting into more of the gangland stuff of Bloodhaven. Reminds me a little bit of the Penguin series that we're watching on HBO Max.
We should talk about that show.
But it does feel like, just from the first couple of pages, you're like, wait, there's a teddy bear gang in Bloodhaven?
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Exactly. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
I think it's.
What'd you think about this, Pete?
great combination. Yeah, this rocks big time. Another great issue, the twists and turns, a nice reveal at the end, fantastic art and action. Yeah, this Nightwing continues to be such a great book for DC, and they're putting it in good hands.
I like this just fine. I wanted a bigger swerve and take.
Departure.
Yeah, departure. Because this feels like, you're doing the kind of the same thing they did previously. And I like that, so I like this as well. But Dan Watters could do some absolutely wild stuff, so I'm curious.
Give him a minute. He's working on it.
He's working on it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think this feels like it's lining up the train tracks so that anyone reading before... when I was... For many years, I wasn't paying attention to who was writing comics. I was just like, give me the next issue. I want it. So, like, the fact that they're lining up the train tracks, I think, is nice here. I do think we're getting a departure. The Teddy Bear Gang felt like strong departure coming.
All right, fair enough. They did have pirates in the last run, I'm just going to say.
True. I mean, you're right.
Hack Slash Body Bags #1 from Image Comics, written by Tim Seeley, art by Stefano Caselli with Steve Kurth. This is mixing together the two franchises, Body Bags and Hack Slash. It's also celebrating the 20th anniversary of Hack Slash from Tim Seeley and Stefano Caselli. And if you don't know Body Bags, neither do I.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is when we talked to Tim Seeley at New York Comic Con, we talked to him about this comic.
Wow. We didn't actually.
We actually didn't. So I will say, Pete, you win this round.
You blew it.
But at Terrificon, I did chat with Tim Seeley about that, so you can listen to that podcast.
Oh, there we go.
Yes. Body Bags is a horror franchise that it partially inspired Hack Slash. The creator of that sadly passed away, but they did get permission to jam them together. And I know Tim was extremely excited about that because you've got two lady killers and two hulking dudes, and they're going mano a mano.
Yeah, you got to be hyped for the Vlad versus Smiley guy thing.
Yeah,
both love knives.
Especially if Vlad wins, I'll love it. But yeah, this is a fun setup. Great kind of first issue of having these worlds kind of smashed together. And this is in great hands. So I'm very excited about this fantastic art. I think well executed first ish.
It's fun. I mean, I agree with you, Alex. I don't know anything about Body Bags, but I like all four of these words that are the title. So I do think this is going to be fun.
Yes, I agree. I also like the Image Comics logo. There's a bunch of other words on the cover and several characters.
I read this.
What we saw.
I read this and said out loud, "Hell yes!"
No, it's super fun.
No, it's very good.
How to write a comic book. It's a good time. Superman #19 from DC Comics, written by Joshua Williamson, art by Dan Mora. The big thing here is Lois Lane now has Superman powers. After the end of Absolute Power, she is Superwoman. And as we pick up here, she has been that for a couple of weeks now and is getting used to it and going out on missions with Clark. When enter a pretty huge twist that we probably should talk about, so I'm going to put a spoiler warning at the top here. But overall, I thought this was another big win for All In, getting to the core of new status quo, resetting everything, continuing team, but still being very accessible for people to jump in and get in on an exciting story that not just ties deeply into the continuity of the DC universe, but also the continuity that's been ongoing with Superman at the same time.
Yes, all of that world building and what you're saying is awesome, but just there's a page in here where Superman and Lois are taking their regular clothes off to reveal their uniforms underneath. I was like, that's hot as fuck and awesome. Like that moment was so.
You got a fetish for people who wear clothes underneath their clothes?
Yeah, you ever wear underwear? That's like clothes under your clothes, and it's pretty cool when people take off the top clothes that you're intimately involved with and reveal the underwear. And that's what happens in this comic, and I liked it. And then the reveal that happens later, that I also won't say, I thought was very cool. And then we get a page where it's like coming up in Superman. I was like, yeah, I love those. And we get a good one here.
Well, I don't know if I should be the one to spoil this, but I was having a great time until emo Doomsday showed up, and I was like, what the fuck is this? So I was like, this is awesome, this is fun, this is really cool, great ideas, great exploration. And then emo Doomsday was like, I just want to talk. And I was like, boo.
I like it.
So
that was definitely threw me for a loop, if we are openly talking about the spoiler, for a number of reasons. First of all, it's revealed that Time Trapper, one of the most mysterious characters in the DC universe for decades at this point, they've never revealed Time Trapper's identity, is a skinny talking version of Doomsday at the end of the issue.
That is a weird pull, but
yeah,
the skinny Doomsday hangout guy at the end, I do like.
I definitely want to know
Doomsday,
more.
right?
I'm interested to know more about it. There's just maybe, Pete, what you're feeling is like, I don't know if it's exactly this, but like there's a little bit of Uncanny Valley with Doomsday's not supposed to look like that. What's going on here? He's too skinny right now, and he's not supposed to be talking. But that's what I think makes it a good cliffhanger, is it feels weird and off-putting to you, and you need to find out more.
But I would also say, like, the way that Doomsday's been used since the death of Superman is just like a weird nuclear bomb that it has never worked. Like, it worked in Death of Superman.
Death of Superman, it worked.
Of course, that's why it definitely worked. It felt like a great enemy, a unfeeling rock that Superman, the most feeling superhero, had to fight and kill and die. Great story. But every time since then, it's been like, now there's 9 Doomsdays, but Superman wins. Or like all the other iterations haven't quite worked. And so I think a flip like this is good. It's smart. It's time to move past Doomsday as just a nuclear weapon, because we've seen that and it's worked, and we can't make it work twice.
Next up, The Moon is Following Us, number 2 from Image Comics by Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rosmo. The big reveal in the first issue was this couple that was in a fantasy world and fighting. They are actually in their daughter's dreams the entire time. The daughter is in a coma, and they're trying to get her out of it, although that's not exactly what's happening, and we get a lot more information as we rewind and go back to the beginning here. Just from a structural perspective, I thought this was so nicely done. It's very much that, what is it, mise-en-scene? That's not what it is.
Mise-en-scene?
Just throwing us in the middle of the thing. I'm blanking on the exact name of the term, but starting in the middle of the action of the first issue, so you could start it on a big note and then rewinding and showing us how we got there.
In media res, I believe.
In media res, yes, thank you. Really well done here, because you don't know exactly how they get there, and the way as they get there, as they walk us up to the present, we get so much more information about this wild situation. Great.
Yeah, this
agree with all that, and the Riley Rosmo art is awesome too. That's all I have.
Okay, yes, this kicks so much ass. This is amazing art, amazing story. Why aren't you reading this? This is just DWJ to the next level, R squared. I mean, worth it for the art alone. Crazy type bananas art. What can I say to get you into this comic book right now? This is just unbelievable comics. I don't know what you're doing. Hey, what's up? What are you up to? Hey, make sure you go out of your way and get this comic, because this is just that good. I mean, the Deuce, Riley Rosmo, is just unbelievable in this, and working with Daniel Warren Johnson in such an epic way. I love the heart at the base of this story and the storytelling and everything. This is just absolutely unbelievable and worth your time and your money. Trust me, please.
See, that's why I tried to sneak my take in, because I knew you were going to have a little, like, monologue, a little, like, Shakespearean monologue, Pete, and shouts to you for getting it out there.
Well, I don't know about Shakespearean, but I appreciate what you're saying.
Nice.
The Flash, number 14 from DC Comics, written by Simon Spurrier, art by Vasco Georgiev. This is another one that I think successfully does the all-in thing, even with a continuing team. We've put the Wild Archangels storyline behind us, at least for now. Barry Allen doesn't have powers anymore. Wally West is the sole Flash. He has a cool new costume in this issue and is going on a vacation with his family, but actually on a mission. I thought this was so fun. I had such a good time reading this. Justin, I'm curious here for you because I know you've liked the big idea Flash that they've done for the previous 13 issues. This is a much more back to basics Flash. What do you think?
Well, I trust this team a lot because it's quite a departure from the sort of melancholy, like addiction story we got all the lead up to this. This feels like the Flash is the Fantastic Four of the DC universe, in a way that I thought is cool, and we get to see like sort of them in a savage land like place, really being
cool,
a family.
Right?
Yes. We see some Barry Allen being a little bit sad in the same way the Thing is sad that he's always trapped in his rocky exterior. Like,
Except Barry is trapped in his human skin.
Yeah. It's worse. Mm-hmm. You know? No
I'm
rocks.
also trapped in my human skin. Wish it wasn't.
Oh, wow. What kind of skin would you like, Alex?
Rocky skin, man.
I would think you'd like a newfangled Oreo skin.
Oh my God! I would eat myself in like 3 seconds.
Pizza the Hut yourself, yeah.
Yeah. Classic. But I do enjoy this. It does feel like a departure, but a successful one.
Yeah, I mean, Cy Spurrier is, doing a good job, and if you like Flash, you'll probably like this. And they put dinosaurs in there to be like, hey, dinosaurs are cool. You should check this out.
See, that's why I let Pete talk last, because he loved it the most.
That's
clearly
clear. Void Rivals number 13 from Image Comics, written by Robert Kirkman, art by Lorenzo Di Felici. A lot of stuff going on in this issue as well. Our Void Rivals have split to go on separate missions. One of them is going deep into the bowels of the planet, it seems, and the other one is going back to his home and visiting his dad. Meanwhile, Cobra La is slowly getting closer to the Void Rivals, so we're going to see those characters in the mix. And Skunkzoid is continuing to be the most depressed alien in the entire galaxy. Yeah. And I'll just mention, just before we get into the review, I was at the Energon Universe panel at New York Comic Con, and Robert Kirkman, we've been talking about Skunkzoid, I think every issue being like, what is going on with this?
Yeah.
He talked about that on the panel. He was like, I don't know what's going on with Skunkzoid. I just love Skunkzoid. It was supposed to be just a minor character there, and I loved him so much that now he has like 5 pages every issue, and eventually there's just going to be a Skunkzoid book. That's what's going to happen.
Wow, he was really addressing the key issues there. Good for
Pretty
Kirky.
much. I was like, you're talking very specifically to me about this.
That's great, yeah. You had to felt very seen. This is another fantastic-ish, fun nightmare by Pythona. She's just like everybody else. She has stress dreams about work, so I felt like you could relate to that. Also, it's just so great to see Springer, the triple changer, dude. Car and helicopter. I mean, come on, dude. That was peak Transformers right there. I was geeking out about that. But yeah, this continues to just be a fantastic kind of cross between a lot of things from my childhood.
Well, and I don't know a lot of what's going on with a lot of that stuff. And I do think it's set up, like we get the first page is like Cobra La. Like, we're there. It's showing it off. But as someone who doesn't know that Cobra, the G.I. Joe world as well, it felt a little like, are you telling me a story or are you just screwing around? And I want this to tell me a story, and it feels very middle all the time. It can be both. But the character that I identify the most with is Handroid, because I know what he's doing. He's just there helping. Yep. And I'm like, yes, I look forward to Handroid scenes the most, and that's not ideal. And I do think...
Dude, what's wrong with Handroid?
I think in Invincible, Robert Kirkman did a great job of being like, here's so many things happening, and balanced them out perfectly. But I think the difference here is that had a comedic tone to it on top of the violence. This doesn't have that as much. It's more melodramatic / dramatic. And I think it's harder to balance a series of dramatic tones and so many things happening when you're trying to tell a contained story. Because with comedy, things can feel fun and funny without having to weigh in as much.
I think that's why the Suckzoid things pop so much for me, is because it clearly is a bit in every issue that he's doing. This one where he's like, forget it. I don't even want money. Don't even pay me. It's so like, what? What are we doing here? So I don't know, but at least I'm enjoying that. And you're telling me, Pete, these robots, these large robots that turn into other things, there's different ones? There's more than one of them? Because I honestly can't tell.
Oh, come on. That's racist.
Yeah, they're like the turtles of space.
He's colorblind.
Yeah.
Yes. Babs, number 3 from Ahoy Comics, written by Garth Ennis, art by Jason Burrows. This is continuing the fantasy satire. On one hand, we're following Babs going on an adventure. She's following up on the dwarven silver mines that were empty for the last issue. Meanwhile, our men's right or goblins right movement guys are trying to team up with the White Knight who has come into town. This book continues to be so sharp. Like what I was talking about earlier with X Factor, all apologies to Mark Russell, who I think is great, but this Ahoy Comics doesn't miss with this stuff, and Garth Ennis is lambasting comic book collectors in particular in here. They're just talking about like coming up with the power ratings for all of these people, reading the lore, which is clearly about like, wait, that comic book conflicts with this other comic book. It's great.
Yeah. I've been watching the franchise on HBO, and this feels like if they were making that back in the Dark Ages / Red Sonja adventure time of that, it feels like that. Like it's comedically sharp, a lot of jokes, but still being like, this is actually how these stories go. So we're going to tell that as well.
I also liked how you snuck a little plug in there for Week in Geek, where we're going to be talking about TV shows you watch later.
Just a little preview.
Yeah, a little teaser. Preview. I like that. Yeah, I mean, Garth Ennis is clearly having a blast here, and this really shows. This is a ton of fun. We had the talking sword, which is hilarious, and then some really badass fight scenes, and then the fun ending with like the fucking elves. This is great. This continues to rock and be a great sweet spot for this team to operate.
Imagine if your main weapon, your microphone, was talking at you, Pete. What a nightmare.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could hear things through your headphones. That would be pretty bad too. Convert, number 3 from Image Comics, written by John Arcudi, art by Savannah Finley. This is very derivative to call it this even, but like this basically Dances with Wolves in Space is what's going on here pretty clearly.
Oh, do you mean Avatar, Alex?
I mean
Tatanka?
Avatar?
There's only one of them. Only one of them is
Tatanka?
blue. Only one of them is blue. The other guy is not blue. It's absolutely beautiful to look at, though. The alien landscapes, everything that's going on here. We find out about this ritual, and there's some twists and turns in terms of exactly what's happening with it. Our main guy may not exactly be on the side of right. Our hero may not be the hero of the story at all. Continues to be well done and intriguing.
We say he's not worthy of a Kevin Costner type role. Like I'm not understanding you at all in this.
What I'm saying, okay, to get specifically into plot points, if you're reading this, turn away at this point, but this guy doesn't want his lover to die and be sacrificed, and he is going too far to stop that from happening when he doesn't have to. He is ignoring their rituals and religions. He is actually fighting against doing a Dances with Wolves because he's like, nope, don't accept your culture. I'm sticking with my culture. I'm going to kill your big god thing that lives in the field.
Yeah, that's the exact opposite of Dances with Wolves.
Well, that's what I'm saying, which is I think, interesting choices in terms of the direction they're taking it in. But yes, that's what I'm talking about. I don't think he is doing the right thing. He, if anything, is the villain who is coming in and ruining their world at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's just obviously that you can't kill a tripped out jellyfish and not expect consequences. You know what I mean? I mean, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is artistically really impressive. An interesting love story with a lot of twists and turns. And I'm interested to see how this is all going to unfold, but creatively it's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I compared this a little bit to Scavenger's Reign, an animated show that I really enjoy. It has a little bit of that vibe, but I hear you guys on the way it's unfolding. It is hard to tell what our outsider character is going to be helpful or unhelpful in the larger story, but maybe that's the point.
Yeah, that's very Scavenger Reign.
Godzilla's Monsterpiece Theater #1 from IDW by Tom Scioli. In this issue, and I am not joking about this, Godzilla fights the Great Gatsby among other characters. This is...
Take that, Leo.
Great. This is
really good.
So great.
So well executed.
It's not just a stunt, because what Tom Scioli manages to do here is take the themes and ideas of the Great Gatsby beyond just the characters and make Godzilla work in the middle of them as an actual story. It goes absolutely wild by the end of the issue in ways that I don't know how they're going to keep this going, but the large majority of the issue I thought was phenomenal.
Yeah,
I mean, this is for
Holmes
Great
stuff.
Gatsby fans. Like, this is like just a great Gatsby story retold. So definitely get into it. The art is really nice, matches the era in a sweet way. Really enjoyed this first issue.
Yeah, the tone and the colors and stuff that they kind of have this kind of old-timey feel a little bit to comics and Godzilla, and it makes it work with these different storylines. It's just so well executed. Just really impressive what they're doing creatively with this. It's just works on many levels and is very cool.
Rook Exodus #6 from Image Comics, written by Jeff Johns, art by Jason Verbuck. This is bringing the first arc, I believe, to a close as Rook has finally embraced his destiny as master of birds.
He's connected with the birds.
Yeah!
And he is fighting Ursa, who is the master of the bears, to try to free another guy.
Look, birds versus bears. What side are you choosing? Don't let the issue influence you. Choosing birds.
Yeah, gotta go with
You're
birds.
saying, like, is this all birds versus all bears, or are we talking about, like, they're fighting, or what do we like better?
Are you talking about all bird sneakers? Is that what you're saying, Alex?
Sure. Or the bear on Converse? Or the
I'm just saying, like, what do you want? What side do you want to be on, bears or birds? Who do you want to hang out with?
I mean,
Pete's chosen birds.
Yeah. But I mean, if we want to say hang out with, I'm going to change my answer and say bear because Yogi's a fun hang. But I think this is a very badass
But you got to
comic.
steal those picnics.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is a badass comic, and I love the art. I love all the action. Great fight sequences. And it's nice to see Rook here. You know, he was talking earlier issues about he's like, you know, feels a little bit like a poser because he takes his mask off and it feels like his birds don't care about him. Not in this issue, bro. He levels up. You know what I mean? Like, he goes Super Saiyan on it. Like, he doesn't even need the mask anymore. You know what I mean? So this was a fantastic, badass issue and a ton of fun.
Now, Pete, you'd obviously have the mosquito mask if this was reality here, so you'd be controlling the mosquitoes. Alex, do you have?
I hopefully would have a Puma mask.
Puma? Nah.
For the shoes? The shoes,
Yeah,
right?
I would have the matching shoes and then the face mask for
Oh,
it.
sweet.
Alex, what's your animal mask?
Probably like, I don't know, rat, porcupine.
Rat or porcupine? Very different animals.
Yeah.
Also, why are you so unlikable?
No,
Why are you choosing these
I love
unlikable animals?
porcupines.
perfect.
I love porcupines.
Famously prickly.
Yeah, I haven't heard that recently. I'm not. I like the place we end up with at the end of this issue, where it feels like now we have a mission to save the planet and gather together the animal masks, and it's clear where they're going here. But I still don't quite understand this world. We keep being told, like, they ruined the world and it's dying. But then they introduce a world engine type thing that could restart the world towards the end here of this issue.
I don't understand what's going on. Like, you know, obviously the world's going to shit and humans need to team up with animals. And so the animals are like, well, who am I rolling with? We need some kind of avatar. And then they're like, cool, we'll come with these masks. And then they're like, thanks for making it super clear. I mean, what's not to get?
For me, this is like a 80s cartoon, but now.
Like
This is like seeing Thundercats or G.I. Joe or He-Man, where
Say
so
Mask.
much of the comic is like, look at this cars.
What about Mask?
Very
Did
cool.
you ever see Mask? Did
Could
you
be
ever
Mask.
watch Mask?
Of course I watch Mask. I watched a lot of Mask. But it's almost like this comic is trying to sell action figures and cars and other toys that don't exist. And I don't, that's funny to me. I don't know why that.
They're trying
It's
to bring
showing
the
off
80s
things
back.
in a way. Yeah, and maybe that's what Jeff Johns is going for, is like, hey, I want to sort of create my own version of all of those things. And that feels like exactly what we're seeing here.
The Cursed Library, number 2, Omega, from Archie Comics by Elliot Rahal and Magdalene Visaggio, art by Craig Cermak. We're continuing to follow the mashup of several Archie horror characters, including Jinx and Madam Satan, as they go on adventures in hell and start to bring together other elements from the Archie horror books in surprising ways here, too. I think we were generally positive about the first issue. How do you think things panned out in issue number 2?
Well, I gotta say... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, good. There you go. You just
I was
leaned
just gonna
back.
say-
I don't know if you're
You know what?
Yeah,
Maybe
I was-
just nobody go. Nobody.
I was just going to say I'm tapped out. This is where I died in the stack. But, yeah, this
can't
is fun
tap out.
art and cool use of characters. Fun to see different characters pop up.
You're
like
going to
Reggie
die
and
on this
stuff.
podcast.
If you can't tell why Pete sounds, if you want to know why Pete sounds different, it's because he's holding his mic like a martini glass and just sipping it casually as he talks. Definitely not the way we're supposed to do this. I love the just hanging out with Satan vibe here. This is like dad Satan fun connecting. Really nice family unit. One of them, like in the stack, most familial. An award we give often on the stack goes to this book. Just a great fam.
I do really like the casual Lucifer, like you're saying in this book. I think that's very fun. There's also some fun moves with Madam Satan in here as well that I think are intriguing. And I do like the Riverdale guest stars that we get too. I like working that stuff in.
And where does this link up? Do we get like a setup at the end here for?
So the whole idea of the Cursed Library is all of the Archie Comics horror stories all exist in the same multiverse. So, yes, this is a spoiler. I think they're looping it back to Afterlife with Archie at the end.
A direct setup for it, essentially. Yeah. I thought that was interesting.
I agree.
It was a little like it wasn't. I like they gently touched it with that rather than be so direct about it. I thought it was cool.
Null Hunter, number 1 from Image Comics, written by Michael Walsh, art by Gustavo Vargas. This is a sci-fi story that I believe is a science fiction version of the 12 Labors of Hercules. So
yes.
we're getting the Olympian gods and others in space. The thing that most impressed me about this is Gustavo Vargas is a really nice compliment for Michael Walsh. They draw in very similar styles. So even though this isn't Michael Walsh drawing it, it still feels like a Michael Walsh book.
Yeah, I like the idea of the 12 Labors in this very heightened sci-fi way. Also, like, it lays out in the first, 10 pages as the $6 million man with a little bit of a wink to it. Like, it's told quickly, and we get to, this dude is expensive, is a line he even says here. And building from that into, a wilder, larger sci-fi universe is fun.
Yeah, it's kind of intense. The guy doesn't have arms, but then he gets arms.
But then he has arms.
But then he loses an arm and a leg. So this is crazy. I mean, the amount of money that's going to cost is just But yeah, this is interesting. Interesting story. Great art. Yeah, cool.
When God opens a door, he takes a window. Same thing about arms and legs.
You Never Heard of Me, number 1 from Dark Horse Comics, written by Iolando Zanfardino, art by Elisa Rombali. This comes out on November 20th, so we'll just lightly talk about it without spoilers. Gentle touch. But this is about a family of seers And they're all wondering whether the father is going to inherit that gift. You may be able to figure
The
out
expected result.
the expected result. You may be able to figure out what actually happens from
Don't
the cover of the
spoil it,
book.
dude.
But I thought this was a nice family drama mixed with a really interesting superpower that was executed in a visually fascinating way. I was very pleasantly surprised by this book.
Yeah, hard to agree on that. Yeah, it was really impressive to kind of see it in a way that just explained things so nicely. It was very cool, the different kind of like panels that we got of the powers. Yeah, I never got tired of that. It was really cool the way they executed it. This did such a great job of setting things up and get you excited for what's to come. Impressed by this.
Yeah, really great. Not to be a family guy here, but really great use of family in the back end here. I thought it set up really well, and then the way things spin out.
Hear you say that because there's no snake baby action in this at all, so it feels like against what you were saying about families earlier.
You never know where we're gonna go. You might
It's
end
the
up with a
first
snake
issue.
baby.
It's the first
I
issue.
don't want to spoil anything. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is great. Definitely look forward to this when this comes out November 20th from Dark Horse. Next up, The Sacred Damned, #1 from Image Comics, written by Sabir Pirzada, art by Michael Walsh. All over the stack today. This is the second issue, I want to say, in the Horizon Experiment, which is a series of one-shots and potential series that take genre ideas and infuse them with cultural specificity. So here we're getting a little bit of a riff on the Djinn and I'm forgetting what the actual pitch of this one was. But
I believe it was like a cult detective, but maybe
yes,
not.
That's right. Like John Constantine, but
Yeah.
specifically through, I believe, Arab myth, if I remember correctly.
We get a little bit of that in that the main character in this, a football player, is like, everyone's speaking Arabic to me. And it's
Yes.
like, maybe not.
Yes.
Good.
Nope. Go ahead. I've monologued.
I thought this was fantastic. I thought the art was really great. Michael Walsh really establishing himself as a great artist in the horror side of comics. And I liked the twists and turns we get here of what's happening. Like, it's super sad, then it's even sadder at points, then it's horrifying, and then you are excited about meeting a new character, and then sad also. Great roller coaster ride.
Yeah, some amazing art, intense horror type shit here.
Great. I also really like this. Like we've said a million times, love Michael Walsh's art, so it's always a pleasure to see him on absolutely everything, and what a treat to get him 3 times in this stack. The concept, again, is really, really solid, just like the Manchurian, and incredibly well executed. This gets into a little bit of Seven territory, I would say. That's at least part of the inspiration here.
Yeah.
Not in terms of like a serial killer, but in terms of some of the visuals of things.
What's in the box?
Not that. The stuff with the djinns I thought was fantastic as well. Really horrifying, like you were saying. But really good action sequence. And this is a character, there's a perfect pilot-style setup in the last page or second to last page. I don't remember exactly which one it is, where I was like, oh, yes, I will read this 100% for an ongoing series. I see where you're going here. Very cool. I hope they get to do more of this.
Agreed.
Stand Still, #3 from Image Comics, written by Lee Lowridge, art by Andrew Robinson. I don't know why I said that like that. This is about a guy who stole a device that allows him to freeze time, and here he is going after a very specific person for a very specific reason, and we get a little bit more of an understanding of perhaps what this guy is doing and why he's doing it. Meanwhile, on the other end, we've got a scientist, or 2 scientists, who are trying to track him down. And similar with the last issue, they're spending a lot of time trying to build an alternative device to take him down.
Really taking their time. I mean, it's hard to build anything.
Well, they don't have the chemicals. I don't know if you got that from the issue, but they just do not have the chemicals. And
They're
gotta get the
dragging
chemicals.
ass.
Yeah.
They're dragging ass a little bit, though, right? Like, they could.
Yeah. I think
They could
so.
be working on it. I mean, the art's fantastic.
Oh, wait, Pete has
here.
picked up his mic. He's prepared to speak.
Well,
yes.
just saying.
Like Celine Dion preparing to sing. Pete is ready to speak.
There were days when the nights were so cold. Oh,
I heard dragon ass, so I thought I would chime in since that's what I'm
You're
doing.
going to talk about some dragon ass? What's your favorite dragon ass? I like the one in Rain and Fire. I'm like, ooh, I'll tap that dragon ass.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm going to bring the rain on that dragon ass.
Wow,
yeah,
dude,
that's good.
Way to ruin the vibe. Yeah, I mean, this
What
is
vibe? You're basically asleep.
this is an intense dude
You are
here.
the vibe.
Fucking with people, but I did like the old classic Robin Hood move where you give a bunch of money to the poor people. So that was a nice.
It goes so horribly wrong.
You like that? When all the poor people are murdered by gang members in this? Because that's what I was going to say. Like, the art's really nice here. This book is a mean book. Like, I feel like it's glorifying being mean. And I don't know if that's purposeful. I'm curious what that will mean for the story. But, like, we're a few issues in here, and it's just like, oh, it's cool to be mean. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, oh, go ahead, Pete.
I just want to take a hard stance on being mean isn't cool.
Oh, thanks, G.I.
Nice,
Joe.
really beautiful.
All right. Why don't we finish up here talking about Deadeye's The Empty Frames, #2 from Image Comics, written by Jerry Duggan, art by John McCrae. This is about a art thief who wants to go on one last heist, and he is recruiting one of his old compatriots to do it in this issue. I like this. This has good noir sensibilities mixed with like a light amount of superhero, given the mask going on here. What'd you guys think of this one?
Yeah, I love
This is what I want the Punisher to be. This is like a fun Punisher, and I'm here for it.
A Punisher?
Bingo. It's something I've been pitching for generations.
Yeah, I mean, I love me some Deadeyes. This is just such a cool comic and idea, and the Dougs is killing the game. Great art, great action, interesting twists and turns. I can't wait to see what's next from this team.
Pete, wake up, Pete. You're dreaming, Pete. Wake up. You have to wake up.
I have dead eyes. I can't wake up.
All right.
Pete, it's time for school. You're in 11th grade. Wake up.
You have a math test and you haven't studied, Pete. Pete.
You've only been dreaming of your future podcasting career.
Well, anyway,
It's a nightmare.
It's a horrible nightmare. You're trapped in a box on the internet. If you'd like to support this podcast and all the podcasts we do, patreon.com/comic book club. Also do a live show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. to Facebook and YouTube. Come hang out. We would love to chat with you about comic books. Apple, Spotify, Android, or the app of your choice to subscribe, listen, and follow the show at Comic Book Live on Twitter/X, Comic Book Club Live on TikTok and Instagram, comicbookclublive.com for this podcast and many more. Until next time, we'll see you at the Comic Book Club.
I'm the Leonardo, though, right, guys?
What?
I don't know. I can't tell you.
Alex. Classic
Come on,
Donatello.
dude. You're
Did
like
Pete say that? Did
I'd
Pete
say you're
that?
more Michelangelo, and I'm like Raph. You know what I mean?
Still don't know who those are. Are those Transformers? Is that what you're mentioning?
You're the Bebop, Pete.
Blow your